Following on the controversy between the suspended senator representing the PDP Kogi Central, Natasha Akpabio, and the Senate President Godswill Akpabio over allegations of sexual harassment, Natasha has now issued a satirical apology to Senate President Godswill Akpabio, reigniting discussions about gender dynamics and power struggles within Nigeria's legislative chambers. In a letter dripping with biting irony, Senator Akpabio offered what could be described as a profuse apology for the grievous crime of maintaining dignity and self-respect in the Senate President's presence. Let's take a look at the letter. Now, this letter goes on to say, from the desk of Senator Natasha Akpabio, I'm going to read this very quickly. Dear distinguished Senate President Godswill Akpabio, it is with the deepest sarcasm and utmost theatrical regret that I tender this apology for the grievous crime of possessing dignity and self-respect in your most exalted presence. I have reflected extensively on my unforgivable failure to recognize that legislative success in certain quarters is apparently not earned through merit, but through the ancient art of compliance of the very personal kind. How remiss of me not to understand that my refusal to indulge your requests was not merely a personal choice, but a constitutional violation of the unwritten laws of certain men's entitlement. Truly, I must apologize for prioritizing competence over capitulation, vision over vanity, and the people's mandate over private dinners behind closed doors. I now realize the catastrophic consequences of my actions: legislation delayed, tempers flared, and the tragic bruising of egos so large they require their own postcodes. For this disruption to the natural order of quid pro quo, I bow my head in fictional shame. Please find it in your magnanimous heart, somewhat buried deep beneath layers of entitlement, to forgive this stubborn woman who mistakenly believed that her seat in the Senate was earned through elections, not erections. I remain yours in eternal resistance, Senator Natasha H. Akpabio, unafraid, unbought, unbroken. Well, let's take a look at the tweets. The first tweet is from Fly Scholar. Fly Scholar, what are you saying? He said, this is probably the first time I'm seeing this level of satirical writing from a Nigerian politician. This will definitely get Akpabio and his supporters really pissed if they come across it. Of course they have. But seriously, I strongly doubt she actually wrote it, because what's the point? If she wanted to apologize, she would have. And if not, she could simply have just stayed silent. No need for all this. Honestly, I just hope it doesn't cause further issues or delay her resumption after an already unfair suspension. And Karigwe tweeted saying, reading through these comments, I'm deeply disappointed. It's disheartening to see how quickly people mock or dismiss a serious issue of alleged misconduct. This reflects a deeper societal rot where victims are ridiculed instead of supported. We seriously need to re-educate ourselves and start living better. Well, there you have it. That was a letter. First of all, I have to just give it up to whoever wrote it. If not anything, just for the pun intended in the letter, the person is definitely the witty nature of the letter, definitely true artistry in the skill in putting together that letter. But now to the point of what the letter was for. She was expected to apologize, because we know the suspension was because of the disruption that was caused in the House. That's what she was told she was suspended for. But she says, no, it's not about this. It's because there are other issues that are influencing some of these cherry picking of issues to handle, which in turn led to her changing her seat. Now, we're seeing this as her letter. The question now is, what next? She went to the IPU. She's granted several interviews, but it seems as though a lot of the issues she's raised have fallen on deaf ears. She also alleged that her father's house or her relative's house in Kogi State was recently attacked as well. Nothing has been done. Nothing has been said. So could this be her own way of saying, listen, everyone, I'm still here and I'm unafraid and I am on board?
Okay. Anyway, all of this is very amusing. I've been seeing a number of comments saying, oh, this is satire and all of that. As a man with a PhD in criticism, I used to teach a course called Comedy and Other Comic Forms many years back in my other life, before I got diverted into this he said, she said, they said business. We used to teach the students that, look, satire is the highest form of comedy, and the lowest form is farce and burlesque. So when I read Natasha Akpabio, senator's statement, I thought this whole thing has become very farcical. It's just becoming, the lowest extreme of